Welcome to sunny Northern California, where it's about 50 degrees today. I'm Doug Fogel, and I'm here with Paul Bacho, and together we wrote How to Get Permanent Relief from Chronic Tension Headaches. And I, first of all, want to thank you for coming to our website. There's a lot of misinformation going on about headaches, and we think you'll find this site to be a very good resource. Personally, I used to have chronic tension headaches, and it was really, really horrible. And luckily for me, I befriended this gentleman sometime before that happened. He totally got rid of my headaches with this really weird yet very effective, kind of like, we call it a digging technique. And what it does is it loosens up muscles that are really tight in the neck, shoulders, and upper back, because that's where most of your headaches come from. So we're just going to give you a quick overview of what we're all about, what our headache program is all about. And you can get all this information and more if you choose to read through the site itself. But here's another angle for you so that you can get the same information maybe a little bit more quickly. So Paul, here's the deal. When I was dying from headaches, or felt like I'd rather be dead from the headaches, had you ever seen anything quite like my particular situation?
Well, yes and no. You're not unique, obviously, as far as the headaches go. I've seen people because of, we'll get into that later, but poor posture.
Right.
Sit over, hunched over a workbench or a computer, and very knotted up, very solid. One person I worked on actually, with the digging technique, even though it's painful, I worked on her for maybe a month before she even felt that I was being actually doing anything.
And for what it's worth, I felt it immediately. The first digging treatment that I went through was excruciatingly painful. But I'll tell you what, when it was over, which was 5 minutes maybe, headache I had was gone. My head felt like it was floating. And what was happening was I was getting some blood flow that I hadn't been getting before. And it was very interesting because I thought, eureka, it's over. But no, I had to go back for several more treatments.
Yes, it comes back.
Came over a period, maybe 5-6 weeks, once a week.
Yeah, once a week.
And doing some posture-related corrections as well. And all of these elements are in our headache program. I was free of headaches, still am. Now, if I don't pay attention, sometimes my neck will get tight because I kind of run things here at Healthmeisters, and sometimes I sit too long. But I'm smart enough to understand when those signals are so that I can take a break and prevent myself from getting too tight. So what do you think the big problem is with the way headaches are dealt with now in the medical profession?
Well, all they do is you come in and see your doctor, and you describe your symptoms, and then they'll run some tests to make sure they're obviously that you don't want any brain tumors.
Right.
Make
sure you get a checkup first.
Right, and it is just, quote, just a headache. But then they give you something for the pain.
Mm-hmm.
They're not looking at the underlying cause of the problem.
Right.
And so we just run around and treat the symptoms, but never the cause, so that the medication has to be continued in order to get relief. And then in some cases, you become habituated to the medication, and you need more and more medication to relieve symptoms.
Why are so many people getting headaches?
Oh, in my practice, what I see, 99% of them, it's all posture related. We said we weren't designed as human beings to sit all the time.
Right.
We're supposed to be up and moving, and for us to be in a seated posture compresses the spine. We become tight. We lean forward at our desks, at our computers, at our workstations, and then when we go home, because we're so tight and tired from sitting all day, what's the first thing you do? You sit in a chair and you go, and you do this. You don't open up, you don't move around, and so we become just kind of shrunk in poor posture. And
so that poor posture causes headaches by what dynamic is happening from all that tension, from all that tightness?
Well, two things happen. One, as you assume that poor posture, the front part, because it's being shortened, those muscles begin to tighten up. So if you don't use it, you lose it.
Right.
Thing. So if you're not used to stretching or moving, what happens is these muscles get shorter.
Right.
As these muscles get shorter, you have to adopt the posture where you're rolling the shoulders in and you're looking forward. And what that does is that strains the muscles in the back. And the average head, and if you're at all familiar with physics, and even if you're not, human head weighs about 10 pounds.
It's like a bowling ball.
Yeah. So a gallon of milk weighs 8. So if you want to see what your neck muscles have to do all day, take a gallon of milk, put it in your hand, and hold it out. Now, the closer you hold it to your body, the easier it is to hold it, right?
Sure, sure.
The same thing with the head. So the further out your head goes, there is more pressure on these muscles here in the neck. So as that happens, those muscles become overloaded.
Right.
And after a period of time, the more overload there is on the tissue, two things happen. One is that tissue begins to tear because it's gone beyond its physical limits.
Right.
And it's more or less sort of like lifting weights. You get that soreness in there, you do more repetitions. So anyway, the muscle begins to tear at the microscopic level. To combat that, the muscle has a protection mechanism, and it's called a tightening or a spasm of the muscle. So at the microscopic level, you get some tightening of the muscle
Right.
around the tearing. And that's not a big deal if you don't assume that posture or overload the muscles for a couple of days and let it recover,
Right.
much like an exercise program. However, if you do that 8, 10, 12 hours a day, 5, 6 days, 7 days a week, and some people do that, that tearing continues and that spasm continues, and you never recover, and one area of the muscle is torn in spasm, then another area, and pretty soon you've got large chunks of muscles where you feel these knots, and it never goes away.
Tell folks how our program gets rid of all that stuff so that the headaches don't come.
Well, what we do is teach you to break down that scar tissue. At a certain point during the healing process of that tissue, the body lays down scar tissue that binds and repairs the tissue.
And that's why the drugs that your doctor gives you or that you buy at your favorite drugstore don't work. They simply kind of deaden nerves, but they don't
Right.
get to the root. And that's where
Yes.
your headaches come, because you're having, it's like a squishing thing. If you turn on your hose in the backyard and step on it, what happens? Same thing's going on with the blood flow
Right.
in the back of your head.
Exactly. So you're getting nerve compression.
Right.
You're getting lack of blood flow to these muscles. And so the muscles have to return to their normal length and normal function. And so what we show you how to do is break down that scar tissue, because at some point the body has to break it down
Right.
in order for the tissue to go back to normal.
Right.
So we show you how to do that. We break down the scar tissue. Now that muscle completely repaired, minus the scar tissue, we can stretch it and strengthen it, and you're back to normal. And there's no more headaches.
And it's holistic. There's no pills. There's no drugs. There's no going to people to manipulate you left and right with chiropractic or anything like that. You can do it at home. It's a very simple technique
Yes.
to learn. Any child can learn it in minutes. There's links throughout this site where you can click to get more information or check the program out for yourself. We back it up. We really encourage you to, at the very least, go through the site and sign up for our newsletter. You'll have an opportunity to do that as you leave the site. Is there anything that you can give folks that they can do right now? Any ideas, any suggestions that they could do right now to kind of relieve a little of the tension, so at least they get an idea of what we're talking about?
Well, what you really need to do is you need to do two things. One, you need to sit straight. You can't do this. And I see so many people in the clinic that do that. They come in and they're talking about the tension headaches, and they just do this in front of me. And then so I straighten them up, and as we're talking, and within 10, 15 seconds, they're right back. So be very aware of the posture. Sit up straight. And the other thing is, do something to open this up so that you can pull your shoulders back, to loosen this up. And one of the best things to do if you're at your workstation sitting in a chair is either hands behind the back, and you'll pull the shoulders back and down, right? Or you can just grab behind the chair itself and do the same thing. But the idea being that you stretch this out. This becomes tight because of the slouching. Open this back up. I've showed that to people, and they're amazed at how much better their neck and shoulder feels just from opening up the musculature here in the front.
And also, for your information, if you go down the page, this page about a third of the way down, you'll see an explanation of exactly what Paul's talking about. It's a very easy technique to do. It will loosen your neck and shoulders. We recommend that you take a break. If you sit all day at work, at least every hour. Actually, a little more often would be better. But if you do that intermittently, and especially when you feel the tightening happens, you'll definitely get some relief.
Yes.
So I hope you enjoyed the video. Enjoy the site. There's lots of things to see and learn here, and we'll see you on the rebound. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.